Hello, I'm Steven,
And I'm Aaron.
and we're going to be doing something a little different this time. We are going to be watching through all of the feature length animated Disney films from Snow White all the way to the present. This is going to be all of the story based narrative films, so this is going to exclude the anthology films, except for a couple, namely Fantasia and Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
And for the movies that have live action counterparts, we'll be reviewing those as well and then comparing them against the animated versions and seeing how they stack up against each other.
So, this is review number one, and this one is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, released in 1937. That was 88 years ago, kids. So, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is the first feature length animated film from Disney, and I've seen this film several times, but I've not seen it in probably 10, 15 years at this point. I don't think you've really ever watched this.
I've probably seen like bits and pieces of it, but I don't remember watching it all the way through it, in a long time, if ever.
So, what did you think about this 88-year-old Sean Baker film?
Um, that's a pretty funny way to put it. I think it's great. It's really great. It's hard to deny like how great it is. Um, Obviously, like it's not the most impressive things in terms of storytelling or plot or anything like that. But it is a showcase of like what animators were able to do back then. It's one of the most impressive things I've seen technically as far as animation goes.
Yeah, it feels kind of like a crass way to put it, but a lot of those old Disney films felt more like tech demos than exercises in narrative because it is incredibly simplistic and it is very light on narrative. Like all the major plot points, you could put them on a post-it note.
Yeah, the story is like extremely thin. The characterization is really kind of one note and not too in depth. But the animation is so good and so creative, and the songs are great as well. And the way they match the animation with the music, it's just a joy to watch.
I think my favorite part of this whole thing was the first 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, from the point where Snow White is singing in the well, that was a highlight from the queen ordering the hunter to tear out her heart and bring it back as evidence, and then Snow White getting lost in the forest, and then eventually stumbling upon the house of the Seven Dwarfs. Carrying on from that point to where she starts cleaning up the house and whistle while you work. That was my favorite part because that's where there was like the most momentum. That whole 30-minute segment, that was the high point for me. I just felt good watching it. It was like so wholesome in a Wizard of Oz kind of way.
yeah. So I guess I can see like what people would critique with things like the story, how like she's not the strongest written female character. She just like cooks and cleans, and that's kind of her like her way into having a place to sleep after she leaves the kingdom. Um, but the movie really is more about like just simple lessons, like taking a bath and getting clean, doing your chores and washing your dishes and cleaning up the house,
Yeah.
and just being kind in general.
Yeah,
I think is kind of what they were going for.
I was really charmed by Snow White as a character, simplistic as she is. It's just nice to have someone who's just kind and decent and thoughtful and caring and puts effort into the little things.
Yeah,
And just being nice to everyone around you, the animals.
and then her counter with the evil queen is just like pure evil, just cackling constantly and just extremely vain. Like I said, they're very one note characters, but it works. It's fairy tale logic. It's fairy tale storytelling, and it just works immediately.
Yeah, the story is incredibly simple. The evil queen is the fairest in all the land, and then she consults the magic mirror who tells her, no, actually, Snow White is now the fairest in the land, and the queen basically says, nope, can't have that.
Yeah, we can't have that going on.
So she orders an assassin to have her killed. He can't go through with it because
She's just too darn nice.
Yeah, so she runs away into the forest to hide from the queen, stumbles upon a house packed with seven dwarfs who mine all day, and then becomes their housekeeper in exchange for a place to live. And they come to really, well, they immediately take to her because she's kind and beautiful,
Except
and
for Grumpy.
except for Grumpy, and she immediately takes to them, and yeah, the rest of it is just them kind of hanging around the house, and this is where it does kind of start to fairly lose steam with me. It does become just a series of like musical segments and dancing.
Yeah, it stops actually telling a story and it starts to become just like a tech showcase and an animation showcase, which to kind of talk about a little bit. Obviously, they are using like some rotoscoping and stuff like that to like draw over something they filmed. But all the stuff like the animals and the dwarves and the environments. But the most impressive thing to me was like anytime there was a darkly lit scene and like there was a candle lighting up the room, just watching them animate the shadows. I don't know how they must have studied like tons of reference and because like the shadow work is incredible. The way it like moves properly, the way when a candle is like held close to a character, the shadow will shift, or where it's held further away, the shadow changes and gets bigger. It's like perfect.
I think I remember reading that a lot of the painters on this film were women, and they were very attentive to things like the rouge and the blush on their faces and stuff. And like Disney asked them, "How are you gonna do this?" And they're like, "We do it all the time in our makeup."
That was there was a lot of effects that I don't know how they did it. Like there's like stuff with water that I don't know how they're doing it. There's a shot where they're like looking in the well and there's ripples and the animation is like layered on top of it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how they're doing this back then, but it's extremely impressive.
I do know how cell animation works, and it's incredibly taxing and time consuming, and even I still don't know how a lot of these effects are achieved because I've never seen them done. The film does pick up steam again, though, when the evil queen turns into the hag. That's
when the story comes back into play. So
yeah. That actress doing the voice of the queen and the witch, it's the same person doing both voices.
Yeah.
When she was doing the voice of the hag, it wasn't really working when they were like doing the recording session. So she said, "Oh, excuse me, let me go to the restroom for a moment." And then she came back, and her voice was exactly what the directors were looking for. And they asked, "How did you do that?" And she said, "Well, I just took out my teeth."
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So yeah, the animation is exceptional. The songs are great. They're memorable.
I miss cell animation.
It looks really great. It doesn't look like anything else.
It can't be replicated with computers.
Yeah, there's like a fluidity to it and just like a really nice painterly quality.
It has that human touch that a computer simply can't replicate.
Yeah, I wish we got more stuff like that. So I guess kind of the purpose of this is to talk about the old animated classics and then kind of match them up against the new remakes and see, how they adapt them, what they change, and what's improved, what's worse. So what could they do to improve on this movie or change some things to make it work in like the newer version?
The overly simplistic characterization just doesn't fly nowadays for the most part. So yeah, they're gonna try to put more interaction between Snow White and the Prince because he's really not a character in this.
He's not at all.
He has 2 scenes in the movie, and he's the biggest non-presence in the movie. So there's definitely going to be more of him. That's another thing. There is room for improvement with this thing. It's not unreasonable to want to remake this and see what you can do better. It's just that all of these Disney remakes have just been corporate cash grabs with no heart and no soul.
Yeah. I kind of want to make a little bit of a prediction with the new one since we haven't seen it yet. But something I thought was a missed opportunity here was the whole thing is about like true love's kiss and stuff like that, and she spends the entire movie with these dwarves, and there's one that doesn't like her, and like, she even like prays to take care of everybody, and then hopefully this one likes her. I would almost like. I would be shocked if they do this, but if I was writing it, I would subvert the narrative and not have the prince be the one to do it. but like have the dwarves and the Grumpy be like the one to bring her back.
That would be interesting. It doesn't have to be a romantic love. It can just be, simple love of people.
Yeah, because
Not unlike Frozen.
you with a longer runtime especially, you have time to kind of develop these characters and have her hang out with them and learn each one's personality and what makes them tick. Maybe figure out why Grumpy's so grumpy.
I honestly don't know if the prince is even in the new one. I don't remember if he was in the trailer.
I don't either. So if he's not, that I think that's probably the angle you could take it. Kind of winning over the dwarves, and the last one's kind of the one that has to fold and admit, like, okay, you got me. I'm sorry that you're gone. I wish you were back. And then that's the way they could do it. But if they do have the prince, I would really appreciate it if they subvert that and not have him be the one to do it.
I'd be okay with that too. I had a pretty good feeling that you were actually getting something out of this when we were watching, because your body language and the way you were interacting with it as you were viewing it did not seem to veer towards the negative. It seemed like you were actually finding worth in it.
Oh yeah, pretty much immediately. Like as soon as the Snow White steps out and starts singing to the birds and like singing into the well, and the well's like echoing back. It's like, okay, we're cooking. Like this is really great.
This was the first feature-length animated Disney film, and they opened strongly.
Yeah.
Opened with a bang.
Yeah, definitely lives up to the quote they've got on the Disney Plus page, the greatest animated movie ever.
Yeah. Oh, and at the end of the film, when Snow White does eat the magic apple and passes out, and then the dwarves stop the witch, did you actually find yourself like emotionally invested when they were all huddled around her coffin?
Yeah. Another thing that I really appreciated was that scene in particular, how they handled it, because like I feel like nowadays they wouldn't go that dark or somber. They would just kind of treat it like an afterthought, or like, don't worry, she'll be back. But here it's like, oh, she's actually dead, and they're actually really sad about it, and that makes the audience sad about it, because they're treating it like it's real and not kind of talking down to the audience, which a lot of children's material does nowadays.
Going through these old Disney movies, I think you're gonna find they got pretty dark back in those days. You've seen Pinocchio, but we're gonna watch that one again, and I wonder how you'll feel about it nowadays, with a older pair of eyes, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the evil queen at the end of the movie falls off a cliff and has two vultures feast on her corpse.
Not only does she fall off a cliff, she has a giant boulder crush her after she falls off a cliff. Yeah, so then she has vultures pick her bones.
So she triple dies.
Yeah, she does. Also, just like another example of kind of the darkness, that skeleton reaching out of his cell for a pitcher of water is just like the funniest and darkest thing all at the same time.
That's darkly humorous.
So it's like, this is an evil lady, just horrible death.
Yeah, I was in the Magic Kingdom once, and I actually tried to find the evil queen because I wanted to ask her, like, how'd you survive that fall? I didn't find her, though.
Dang. Maybe she didn't survive it. What are your expectations for the new one?
0. I hate to be so cynical, but Disney, as of late, with these live-action remakes, has just, like, it's just been one punch to the face after another. Some of them have been less offensive than others. Some of them were okay. The Little Mermaid wasn't altogether terrible, but it also wasn't one that I'm going to find myself rewatching. I thought the Jungle Book one was actually pretty good. I think that's my favorite of all these live-action remakes.
Yeah. I liked Little Mermaid. Obviously, like, some musical numbers don't match up just because it's like we're trying to go for realism when we should go for, over the top and cartoony. They're talking fish and dancing fish.
Yeah,
like,
be more. It's a musical. Be more theatrical. Yeah, be more flashy. Have more panache.
Yeah.
Treat it like a stage production.
I did like Aladdin just because it did improve upon some of like the character weaknesses from the movie. And Will Smith wasn't just doing a Robin Williams impression, which was nice.
Yeah, thank God. I don't like that one as much as you, but I do think that one is okay. But I would never watch that again. I would only ever watch.
We'll get to it again.
We're gonna get to it eventually because we're gonna go through all of them.
But yeah, this new one, I'm not expecting very much. I really hate that the dwarves are like these horrible, ugly looking CGI creatures.
Yeah, they look revolting.
I hope that they take the chance to improve on the characterization. If the prince is there, make him a character. Kind of subvert the old story. Don't tell the exact same story. Character. They're not going to improve on the animation or the theatrical nature or the musical numbers. It's just not going to happen. But the story is the only opportunity they have to make improvements, really.
The elegant animation and gorgeous background work of this thing is not going to be replaced by CGI, so they can't beat it in that respect. But, if the story works, you and I will defend it if we like it. We'll be honest, we're not afraid of stones.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope it's at least good in that regard. I guess we'll see soon enough since it's out this weekend, so...
So yeah, that's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely see it. It's worth it.